Good evening, everyone. This is a new episode of the Right Info Podcast. Your host, Antoine, speaking on this Wednesday, March 27th, 2024 evening. It's nice, cool here in downtown Chicago on the bus heading home after a long day's work. And it has been a busy day. Well, not too busy because the kids are still out of school. If you all hear any noise in the background, that's me on the bus heading home after a long day's work. And tonight, um, I am going to talk about an issue on the Right Info podcast show, which is dealing with shrinkflation and the difference between that and inflation. Now, the topic is inflation the new inflation? Now, shrinkflation and inflation are both economic, phenomena that can impact people in different ways. Now, shrinkflation is the situation where the price of a product remains the same, but the size or quantity of the product is reduced, but often is a way, to maintain profit margins in the face of rising production costs. Now, inflation refers to the general increase in prices of goods and services in the economy over a period of time, a long period of time. Inflation can be covered by a variety of factors, including increased demand, reduced supply, or changes in the money supply. The shorter the money, the longer the supply. And the supply is long. If people can afford it, they can. If they can't, they can't. I'm just sitting here talking about the times we're in right now, and that's a notification in my phone. Please ignore that. I meant to shut down the notifications tone on my phone, but I'm not going to let that stop me from delivering my podcast. This is very much my first time delivering a podcast on a bus. So, not to change the subject, it's nice and cool outside, and I decided to do a little podcast on the bus and all. And getting back to the topic, of what shrinkflation and inflation is, um, whether shrinkflation or inflation is quote unquote better for people depends on the specifics of the situation. Now, in general, moderate inflation around 2 by 3.5% per year is considered normal and even desirable, as it is can, encourage spending and investment. However, high inflation rates can erode people's purchasing power and lead to economic stability. What that means is inflation or inflation can hurt people's ability to spend. Like, I'm not saying we are in some tough economic times right now. I'm not saying we're in a recession. We're not in a recession right now because if we were in a recession, we'd really be feeling it. And, it'd really be something. Prices be high. People can't afford anything. I very much couldn't be able to afford anything if I was to purchase whatever I wanted. So, we got to do everything in our power to fight inflation. I've talked about inflation a lot in my podcasts and my blogs. If you go to the Right Info podcast show or the Right Info blogs on my page, I'll talk about various topics dealing with inflation. But this is very much my first time talking about shrinkflation. I'm about to say deflation. I don't know where the hell that came from. But anyway, shrinkflation can also have a negative effect. As consumers may feel cheated by getting less for their money, and it can make harder to compare pieces, prices. I don't mean pieces, I mean prices, and make informed purchasing decisions. Excuse me for the little mistakes that I'm making. I'm riding on the bus right now, delivering a podcast right now. And if there is any background noise, that's the bus going on, making an announcement where it's stopping at and all that. So that's like I said, it's not going to stop me from delivering my podcast and letting people know what's going on, as far as that's concerned. Excuse me for the pause. I was just setting something down for a moment. But overall, neither shrinkflation nor inflation is inherently, better for people. And, both can have negative effects on purchasing power and standard of living, like I said earlier. Individuals and policymakers need to monitor these economic phenomena and take steps to address them when important. Now, I gave everybody the definition of shrinkflation and its likening to inflation. So now I will discuss on how it makes me feel personally. Let's say, for example, that I want to buy like a brand new TV set, but the price is high because the quality, the quantity of that good is too high and I can't afford it. let's say I got the money, but I still can't afford it. What's affecting me from getting what I want? Well, it could be a lot of factors. Something happening to the economy, world situation, whether city, national, or international, may have an effect on the economic situation, which may cause the inflation to happen. But then there's shrinkflation, something that's big, but is small. The price is small, but it still can't be affordable. Still can't be afforded. You know, Getting something that's affordable isn't possible because of the situation of whatever's going on, which making the price small, and it's still unavoidable to see if you can get it or not. You know, I wanted a TV one time. This was many years ago, but because of inflation, I couldn't get it because the price was so high. And I don't know what happened. It was many, many years ago, just like 15, 20 something years ago that I wanted that new TV. And I couldn't get it because of the situation. 15 years ago, we was going through the housing crisis. So that was the reason why, that and prices of, certain technologies, foods, whatever a person wanted, couldn't obtain that because of what was going on. But as times went by, prices went down, the economy started getting better, and people's purchasing power was getting a lot smoother. Like my purchasing power was getting smoother, but I was still able to watch what I spent and how I spent. Like I said, I discussed about financial discipline some times back when I did a last podcast. It's a past podcast. I know I talked about financial discipline. People need to watch how they manage their money. Discipline on how you manage your money when you get it. Manage it wisely. Don't buy something you don't need. If you need it, get it. If not, don't worry about it. It'll still be there. It's not like it's going to disappear anytime soon. So, you know, I've been through economic hard times myself, but at the end of the day, I brushed myself up, moved on, and picked myself up to make sure that I wouldn't go through it. I taught myself financial discipline, how to look at myself as far as how I manage my money when I get it and what I do or how I handle it, how I take care of it. And I think everybody should follow that too. You shouldn't let inflation get you down. You know, there's people on TikTok doing videos about inflation, high cost of living, college, student loan debt, the affording of college. You should have checked those TikTok videos. They be on YouTube, like they're called TikTok rants. So check those out. That's worth looking at. And it's interesting to know, interesting to understand. So, with that being said, I just want to give everybody a short description on inflation and shrinkflation. How those say link together, and the pros and cons. Well, there's a lot of cons in inflation and shrinkflation. There's no pros about it whatsoever. Everybody just got to watch how they handle their money and all. So, just understand that. Do your homework. Do your studying when it comes to the different two. Try not to fall into that hole of not only being involved of trying to let inflation or shrinkflation get a hold of you. Just make sure it doesn't, get you. Otherwise, you'll find yourself in a self-recession. You don't want to find yourself in that. You don't want to feel like you got it, then you want it, then you can't get it because you can't very much afford it because of the situation. I'm going to end this podcast on a positive note while heading home on this bus. It's nice and cool outside, riding on the King Drive bus heading south. Been a long day. Had discussed, the situation. I'll be bringing more podcasts later on and more blogs. Just go to the Right Info Podcast Show, which hosts Antoine. To let everybody know, this is season 2, episode 10 of the Right Info Podcast Show. Because season 2, episode 9 of the show is on Podbean. You go to Podbean and look it up. It's going to be under Robeson 1995 at gmail.com, or basically Roberson1995. Just go to Podgy, and it's there. This is season 2, episode 10, and I am ending this podcast on a good note. Hope everybody enjoyed the rest of their evening. Tomorrow's another day. I'll come up with another podcast, another blog on WordPress. That's where all my blogs are. Go to WordPress. The right info. Check them out. You all will love them. You all learn a whole lot. Get a good experience on what to know, what to find out, what's going on. And I am going to say good night to everyone. You all take care. Bye-bye. Love you all. See you soon.